problem is that we're not
Blacks
telling
here in
the
this
kids
city have
starting
made
to use
significant
drugs earlier
contributions.
in life than they ever have.
Welcome to Minority Focus. I'm your host, Jimmie Moore. We've got a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting places in the city. Most are visible, some are kind of hard to find, you don't know about. But one I know we've all seen, and that's Whitehaven, which is right before you get to the interstate. Huge white mansion type place. I know you've seen it. Today, joining us is the travel host supervisor at Whitehaven, Regina Copp.
Yes.
Welcome. Very
Thank
glad
you.
to have you.
And it's good to be
Very
here.
glad to have you. I asked
to
her
be here.
some time ago to come on the show, and with all the faces that I see on my job, I lost track of who I'd seen and who I'd talked to, but finally found her again, and we're very glad to have you.
Thank you.
What is it that you do out there? What do you?
Well, Whitehaven is the Welcome Center. We call it the gateway to the South because it's a mansion and a lot of people come in looking at it thinking that it is a private home. But we give travel information for Kentucky. We inventory over 300 brochures. So you could say that we advertise for the state of Kentucky. And our main focus is keeping people in Kentucky, getting them to stop if they stay at a hotel, visit one of the attractions. You were saying that there's a lot of things that people don't know about, but that's one of our positions. We are travel hosts. We say that we tell people where to go, but we do it in a nice way.
I wondered, just seeing the building, like I said, I visited there some years ago. Don't remember a lot about it, but one thing I was always curious about, in its mansion status, if you will, is every part of it still intact?
Well, the home was built in 1860. It was built with slave labor, bricks, and the wood was cut right there on the grounds. Bricks were made on the grounds. It was a private home, red brick, two-story home with a kitchen unattached. But in 1903, the home was sold, and the gentleman was a banker. He worked for a bank here, and he had the home remodeled in 1903. This is when the kitchen was added onto the home. They installed stained glass, plastered ceilings, and columns in front porch, painted the home white, and named it Whitehaven. Now, his family was only there for 5 years. And then Mr. Smith, who was the mayor of Paducah in 1908, his family purchased the home. And while they were there, they installed the restrooms and they upgraded the home. They added more rooms onto the back of it. Well, in the 1970s, the home was vacant, it was vandalized, it was weather damaged. Actually, PCC purchased the home and land. But in 1981, in that same year, the state purchased the home. And what they did was to restore it back to the 1903 period. So what we have is the original 1860 structure remodeled in 1903.
Right.
And we give tours of it.
When did it become? When did it finally cease to be someone's home? And
The
become
last
something
family
else?
member moved out of it in 1968.
Oh, just as recently as '68. Wow.
In 1968, but from what I understand, it was quite a bit for her to maintain. And so she moved away, hoping that someone would purchase, but with the interstate coming through, I think that blocked a lot of that. So that's when it was vacant and vandalized.
Right. Say if that's a far cry from a single family dwelling.
Oh yes,
Obviously.
yes,
So huge
yes
as
it is.
I'm curious about bedrooms and how
Well,
many there are and how much.
Right now, as I said, it has been restored back to 1903. There's 8 rooms in the home, but they're all large rooms, all the same size. The information center that we have is housed in the dining room of the home. Right behind us is the parlor. Back then they didn't say the living room,
Right.
so it was the parlor. Across the hall we have a music room, and then we have a library. In these rooms, all of the ceilings have beautiful molded plaster structures, baseboards, you know. The home just has a lot of extras. And then you go upstairs, and it's also 4 rooms. And we have a master bedroom and a sitting room with the master bedroom. Now, that's something that you don't have today either.
Sure.
And then across the hall from there was originally the children's bedrooms. And these rooms are, as I said, are the same size as the other, but now those 2 rooms host memorabilia from Vice President Alvin Barkley. So we have 2 rooms that are dedicated to him.
Has all of that always been available to the public? Because I don't remember quite a bit of what you're saying from the, I guess it might have been 15, 20 years ago that I went to visit there, but I don't remember any of that. Maybe I just
Well,
didn't
see,
go.
we've been open as a Welcome Center for 25 years. We opened in 1983. When we first opened in 83, the home wasn't completely furnished. A lot of the furnishings that we have has been donated to us from different people all across the state. And the Barkley rooms, they sold his home in 1984. And the Growth Association purchased a lot of pieces from his estate. So those pieces are housed in those 2 rooms up there.
Excellent, excellent. Do you get a lot? I won't ask for a number, but a lot of people, other than the people passing through rest stop, because the signs out on the interstates say rest stop, and it is a rest stop too. But aside from those people, do you get very many visitors? A lot of visitors come.
We do. We don't get as many as we used to. I do have some numbers from 1997. I was looking, and for a month, we would have maybe 4,000 come through for tours. Actually, last year was our lowest count. But I think it has a lot to do with the economy, gas prices, things like that. You don't have as many people traveling. That's one of the things with the state. This year, our theme is Discover Your Own Backyard, because we have trips that would last over a weekend. And we put together where you could visit things that are closer to home. You know, we don't want you to stop traveling. We don't want you to stop living. We want you to continue. But you can see things that are closer to you, because there are a lot of things. We have some people, local people, that the reason that they come and visit us is because they have visitors. And they will come and they say, well, we've lived here all our lives. Exactly. But then when our visitors come in, this is one of the things that they wanted to see. So they bring them out and see it. And then we have buses. We are a bus stop also. A lot of people come through and with their buses, they call ahead, schedule for tours. Because now we offer tours 1 through 4. Every 30 minutes. They're on the hour and the half hour. But then you have to realize that we are not a tour home. We're a travel host. And our job is to assist the traveling public. But because we're housed in this historical home is why we give the tours. Exactly. So with the way we are staffed, there are a few times that we're not able to do it because we need someone on that desk at all times that we're open. And to give a tour, you need at least 2 people there. Right now, we're only a staff of 4. So you have a staff of 4 that are performing the same duties as we did when we had a staff of 6. You know? but
Yeah, that's
we're
like,
doing that.
That's like everywhere, you know. Do the most you can with the fewest people that you
Yes.
can. I know that Whitehaven, in a lot of cases, is a good halfway point
It
in
is.
traveling from
It
north
is.
to south. But has to be a much more enjoyable, interesting one in what it is, instead of the stark restrooms,
Yes.
candy machines,
Well,
etc.
and so we have a lot of people, they'll say, well, I can't believe this is a rest area. You know? And I must say that the staff that we have there, we're a little different too. As far as we know, Whitehaven is the only welcome center that is housed in a historical home in the United States after being open for 25 years. But with the 4 people that we have on staff now, 3 of us have been there for over 20 years. Well, I could say now, over 22 years.
Right.
But I feel like we enjoy our job. And when you have a job that you enjoy, that reflects. And we do different things to try to pass that on to the visitors. In April, there was a flower show that was performed at Whitehaven, and it went on during the quilt show. So during the quilt show, we had a lot of visitors that came out for the flower show. Well, after the flower show, they'd had these bottles that they used on the back porch for a horticultural display. They left us some of those bottles, and we put them in the ladies' restroom. And we put flowers in them. So ever since April, you come into our center and you go into the restroom, and there's fresh flowers all throughout the restroom. So where else can you go? Go to the restroom and have flowers in the restroom.
Not hardly. Well, what do you do with, see, there's just like the 4 of you that work there. What happens when there's a surge, like with the quilters? Pow, you're hit with like more numbers than you're
Another
accustomed to dealing
thing,
with.
that's another thing that I was saying. With the staff that we have, we are willing to put in extra hours, put in extra time. And that's what we do. It's just like with Paducah. I feel like having 27,000 people in a city and then having 40,000 people come in for an event like the quilt show, and we can handle it. But it takes people working together to do so. So that's what we do at Whitehaven. We also work with the Paducah City Tourism, the ambassadors. They come out because they bring a lot of the buses out, and the ambassadors, they'll come out, and most of them know Whitehaven very well, and so they help us out too. Yeah, so we have a lot of other people outside of our staff because Whitehaven is an attraction, and with us being right at the city limit, we work with the Paducah Tourism.
Right. Is it most rest stops, places of that nature, are like open 24 hours a
24/7.
day? Is that the case of Whitehaven?
It is. The rest area is open 24 hours a day. The rest, you can come into the restrooms. The brochures, we have brochures that you can get to during that time. But our office during the summer closes at 6. We're open from 8 to 6. During the winter, our office closes at 4:30. So for us to be on staff and come in and people wanting extra information from us, you would need to be there, as I said, in the summer before 6, in the winter 4:30.
You know, in traveling, daytime, nighttime, it doesn't matter, summer, winter, rarely have I seen anyone on the grounds of a rest stop, other than maybe maintenance people or, you know, that sort of thing. I'll take that back. Out in Oklahoma once, I went to well, that wasn't a rest stop. That was just a tourist information center, which is different. What you're telling me is something that I've not heard, and that's that I've never seen a staffed a place like that before.
Well, as I said, Whitehaven is different from any other, and we are a welcome center, but our grounds houses 4 different departments. And, I have people that come in and say, well, we can't come out there at night. There's no one there. There is someone at Whitehaven 24 hours a day. We are also on the city and state police routes, which helps out a lot. But the safety patrol, the guys that you see on the interstate with the trucks that stop and help you when you're broke down, they're housed there.
Excellent.
So, then there's a maintenance department, transportation department. So we have 4 different departments there.
What you visibly see, the house, the parking areas around it, is that all of Whitehaven?
There's 10 acres.
10, okay.
10 acres.
What you see is not what's totally there.
Well, Whitehaven is, when you come in, yes, when you come in, there's 10 acres and there's a black gate. There's a black fence around the property. So that is the property of Whitehaven.
Yeah, because I know when you mentioned earlier that that the structure itself was built with slave labor, I had in my mind this picture of a plantation kind of place with huge.
The thing of it is, when Paducah Community College purchased some of the home and land, the state only purchased 10.5 acres.
Nice.
But that home started out with 62 tracts of land.
Okay.
We back in 1860. But now we only have 10.5 acres.
Okay, so that either what PCC purchased and private purchases of other parts of it, just left it with the Gen X. Well, see, I was thinking right.
You were.
I know with a house that size, mansion that size, that's built with slave labor, in all likelihood, there has to be an area beyond where it actually sits.
Yes, because see, at one time, there were places for the slaves to stay. It was also on the land. But we don't have any of that anymore. That's all been torn down. Now we only have the home. There is a carriage house. The original carriage house is there. And that carriage house is what they use to house the other departments. Tourism is the only department that's actually housed within the home. The other departments are housed in the carriage house.
And never mind some of the modern day type homes that people build, and they're big and huge and all that, but I don't consider them mansions of the caliber that Whitehaven is.
Well, it took them 6 years to build Whitehaven. How many people do you know will wait 6 years for their home?
Exactly.
Whitehaven, as I said, it has beautiful stained glass in it. There are a lot of different little differences with Whitehaven. At the top of the stairs, at the landing, there's this large display of stained glass, and then there's mirrors below it. Those mirrors are positioned where you can stand upstairs and see who's at your front door. So I said that was security for them back then. Also, when you're upstairs, there's 2 large mirrors on each side of the hallway, and you can stand there, and it goes on forever. You can just see yourself forever and ever. There's transoms over the doors. So it's not your ordinary. Now, there are people that have came and measured and has built replicas of Whitehaven. There's one that is a bank that we actually just found on the internet a few days ago. And it's a bank, and it tells you that they are patterned after Whitehaven.
I was thinking, no other place like it. During its time, its first completion, and the families that lived in it, nothing else like it around. I'd like to think that it would be a place where dignitaries would want to come and.
We have some that has visited Whitehaven, but then we are state and federally funded. So we can't host, say, a Democratic Party comes in and wants to host something there, or a Republican Party comes and wants to host. We can't do that.
I'm not talking like now. I'm talking like during its day.
During its day, I'm sure it had a lot of visitors,
Right.
For that. But as I said, it was a private home. So I haven't heard of a lot of dignitaries visiting because there are other homes in Paducah. You know, right out on Alvin Barkley Drive, there are some beautiful homes that are close to the same age of Whitehaven.
Sure.
hmm
I'll have to
Yes.
take a drive out there and look and see.
Well, now you know in April they have the Dogwood Festival.
Trail. Dogwood Festival.
hmm
Yeah.
Go that first night and get on the bus.
Yeah. Never ridden the bus. I've driven around a little bit.
No, get on the bus. It's a little different. You get on the bus and let the bus take you on the route, and you get to see all the beautiful homes and all the lit up trees and lit up bushes. It's
Right.
gorgeous. It's
As
gorgeous.
far as you know, any descendants of the original owners still?
I know there is a Benita Abernathy is a descendant of the first family, and she wrote a book. And she comes in from time to time and sees us. She was just in a couple of weeks ago. As far as the Smith family, the only one that I know of now actually lives in Florida. And he's a great-grandson of Mr. Smith. And he said that he has daughters. He doesn't have any sons. That's the last that I know of, the families, the original families there.
It seemed like some people named the Moores. It seemed like they stayed in there a couple of weeks, but it was a little too big for
Oh,
them.
really? Well, I'll tell you this. I had a great aunt that worked there, worked for the Smiths. You know, so I like to think that I had a connection with it even before now.
For sure.
You know?
It hasn't changed much in the last 20, 25 years. Very many additions or
No.
changes about
The
it?
changes that we have are more so technology. The lobby, the rest area portion, is not restored to the original. That is all modern. So we have kiosks out there that has to give you information, traveling information, weather information. We have error casting there. So all of these different things has come in, and those have been the changes because being a state facility,
Right.
being tourism, we have to keep up, you know, with all the
Sure.
technology. So
For sure. So not very many changes, and maintenance and making sure that it stays as it has been. It's approaching how many years old, approximately?
145.
145 years old. So the world lasting Whitehaven will be with us another 145 years?
I believe so.
State's not going to let that run down. Surely not.
No,
Surely
right
not.
now we will probably be not closed down, but they will be painting the home. There's just been a contract that was signed for the painting of the home, the outside.
Well, I
So
bet you
that's
people
coming up.
bidding
So-
on that like crazy.
Oh yes, yes.
Like the entire building? Well, that's a
That's a
big
huge
job.
project.
That's a big
Just
job.
having our ceilings painted is a huge project.
Right.
We have original stenciling patterns within the home. So it takes special people just to come and take care of that stenciling.
Sure.
You know, there's a lady, Virginia Manchester, she was the last one that did stenciling work. And we had a leak upstairs a few months ago.
Right.
So they prepared the leak and they had to paint maybe a foot of the stenciling. So right now there's a gap in our stenciling. So she will come back out and take care of that. But in the position that is in, you couldn't get me to do it. It's
Right.
up over the stairway.
Right.
She's up on all the scaffolding, but she does a great job.
There's never any maintenance problem as far as the budget that's allowed the people who run Whitehaven. When you need something, you pretty much it's going to be done.
It may take a little longer
Right.
to do. That's another thing that I credit the staff, because there is a staff there that has worked on that home and loves that home. So they do a lot of things that they don't get paid for, you know.
Right.
They're willing to come out and fix this and fix that. And so it's a lot of people that really care for Whitehaven, that donate extra time to Whitehaven. Um, I think it will stand for quite a while.
Yeah, it looks like it just looks so solid. You know, like almost like.
Well,
built
I
on-
mean, we're right there on the interstate, and we're in the center. You don't hear all the traffic. The walls are 3 bricks thick,
Okay.
so, and those are the interior walls.
So a person would come out there and kick back on one of the benches outside and chill for a day if they wanted to, no problem, right?
We have a 4-hour limit.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we
Got
have a
it.
4-hour limit. Because remember now, we have truckers
Right.
that stop, and so there's rules to anything.
For sure.
And if we open this, like hosting different things within the home, we have people that come out there and get married on the front porch. We can't allow them in the house, because if we did, we'd be ran over with things like that. The high schools, they come out and have their prom
Prom
pictures
nights.
taken. So,
That's beautiful. So we've got a lot to offer. Go check out Whitehaven. Check out Lower Town. See what's growing and going on down there. Got a lot of buildings that are being made beautiful again. Paducah
yes, we do.
has a lot to offer.
The
And,
mures.
yeah, the murals.
Murals
Oh,
on
that's a fantastic thing. We're
Yes.
seeing that in a lot of television nowadays. But when I wanted to mention this other house where black performers on the Chitlin Circuit used to come through and stay.
Metropolitan.
No,
Hotel
At
Metropolitan,
that moment,
yes.
it wouldn't come to my mind. Got to be talking about that some more too. It's really developed and it's still developing. Don't think I've forgotten about it. Going
But
to get back with it
people
too.
are visiting there now.
Yes, for sure.
The
It's
people are
open- it's
visiting
open
there,
to
and
the
they're
public.
hosting different
For
things.
sure.
And I would just like to say, on behalf of the Hotel Metropolitan, they are still accepting donations.
All right. All right.
Yes.
And I'm sure there are
Yes.
people who are making them too, and that's a good
It
thing.
is.
Thanks so much for joining me. I really
Well,
appreciate
you're
you
welcome.
coming. Glad we finally
you.
got you on the show. Take advantage of what we've got to offer here in Paducah, and it's a lot more than you think about, than you see. But you got to look to find some of these things. Get the brochures that tell you where to go and the interesting things. It's an art thing
Yes.
going on downtown that's fabulous if you're into the arts and artistry and all of that.
Yes.
Thanks again, for joining us, and thank you for watching. For Minority
Thank you.
Focus, I'm Jimmie Moore.